Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault has launched the final development phase for the national strategy on adapting to climate change. Experts say Canada needs to do more to prepare infrastructure for the threats of extreme weather and get faster at helping Canadians recover from floods, fires, and other major storms. The plan is supposed to show how Canada can become more resilient to the effects of climate change, and it'll include a national monitoring and evaluation system. This while the Insurance Bureau of Canada says Canada must respond by adapting to keep citizens and communities out of harm's way and by reducing their carbon footprint. Well, with us now to discuss the national climate change strategy from an insurance perspective is Mr. Craig Stewart, Vice President of Climate Change and Federal Issues at IBC. Sir, welcome to Forum Daily.
Great to be here. Thanks, Nima.
So how much money do climate-related disasters actually cost the federal and provincial governments each year?
Well, the numbers have kept going up and up and up. So in 2015, the numbers were more around $1 billion a year. But last year alone, the floods that occurred in November in British Columbia are expected to cost about $5 billion in uninsured losses. And then with regards to insured losses, of course, those numbers make the total even higher.
And what about individual Canadians and businesses? What does it cost them?
So for Canadians right now, many Canadians actually shoulder the cost of climate change through their taxes, through their insurance policies, and they get directly hit because, frankly, insurance doesn't cover the most frequent events, which are flood events. And so a lot of Canadians end up paying, unfortunately, out of pocket. So overall, it's costing us all, whether you're in private business, you're a government agency, or you're just an individual that owns a home.
So everyone's being impacted. Now, in terms of the insurance industry in particular, how have these climate events impacted insurance?
So globally, these events have been on the rise, both in terms of the number of severe events that we've been seeing year in and year out, and in the total cost. Back in about 20 years ago, these costs were about $400 million a year. Each and every year, we're looking at about $2 billion in insured losses on an annualized basis. And we just expect the numbers to go up from here.
Some very shocking numbers there. Now, we know IBC says Canada should respond by keeping citizens and communities out of harm's way. So how can officials go about doing that?
Well, what we'd like to see is essentially targeted action to try to remove or help protect those Canadians that we know are living in undefended areas across the country. So, for example, those that are living in boreal forest who are at high risk of wildfires, particularly in British Columbia, year in and year out. Those that live on floodplains, where we know they're going to flood. Some of them have a 5% chance of flooding in any given year. With those folks, we actually know what to do. Whether it's to reduce vegetation close to a house in a boreal community, putting fire impervious shingles on the roof. Or in a floodplain, if you're living in a floodplain, either frankly relocating people who shouldn't be there in the first place, elevating homes, changing the landscaping so the water is going to drain away from the house. There's a lot that we can do, but it takes investment, and that's what we're calling on governments to do, in partnership with municipalities and homeowners.
And the responsibility to adapt to this climate change is not only falling on federal officials or provincial officials, it also falls on businesses and individual communities working together in this fight. So what steps can both industries and citizens take?
So the private sector can do a lot. So, insurance companies obviously play a role in educating homeowners and businesses that they insure about the risk that they face. We can also provide premium incentives to, just as we do with fire, to reward individuals for taking those steps to protect themselves. Banks can be doing more in terms of mortgage incentives. Realtors can be doing more as far as disclosing the risk of a home when in a real estate transaction. We need to become innovative. There's a lot that frankly, the private sector can be doing. And then for consumers, it's about educating themselves, getting a sense of, are they at risk? Are they not? Consulting municipal maps online, talking to their insurer, getting detail to understand better the degree of risk that they might face and the steps that they can take to protect themselves.
A very informative conversation, sir. Thank you again for joining us today on Forum Daily.
Thank you very much, Nima, for having me.